Hey everybody, got another video here for you. This video is going to provide some tips and tricks on shielding guitars. So, let's see. First off, conductive adhesive shielding tape. According to Ken Parker of Ken Parker Archtoppery, go check out his channel. Rest in peace, Ken. This stuff wears out over time. The conductive adhesive on shielding tape wears out over time. I don't know how long. I assume that given Ken and working with old guitars and stuff like this, I'm guessing that it probably lasts at least a decade. But if you're doing a quality build to last forever, then an heirloom guitar, then basically pretend that conductive adhesive shielding tape doesn't conduct, which then leaves you the old-fashioned problem of, oh, well, how do I get all my tape connected to each other then? Because you can't just overlap like that. It doesn't work if the adhesive doesn't conduct. So what you do is, it's actually quite simple. You see this little square in the middle here? That's a piece of shielding tape turned upside down, so it's copper on copper. So it's copper here and it's copper on the bottom side of that little square, and it's copper there, and that little square connects these two pieces of tape even if the adhesive fails, and then it's held in place with the electrical tape. So that's how you connect your pieces of tape together, and it's all nice and flat, so it won't stick out in a blob like soldering them would. So that solves that problem. Then the next question is, well, should I use tape or should I be using shielding paint in the first place? And the answer is, tape's good for covers and shielding paint is good for cavities. And so I actually use both. And that's probably the easiest approach. Use the appropriate method for the appropriate situation. So let's see, what else? If you use 4-cable conductors and are religious about tying together all of your grounds, then you don't need shielding at all, which makes it nice because you don't need the paint or the tape, because the shielding is in all of your wiring, and you can easily, take the grounds and go along and connect it to the cases of your pots and stuff like that. And you don't need any shielding at all because it's all built into the wiring harness. When you do that, though, make sure you use the good stuff and not the cheap stuff. This is the good stuff, and it comes with the unshielded ground here. Damn camera, and yeah, see there, unshielded ground, and it's also got the foil wrap around it. I couldn't actually get this foil loose from the black sheathing, but yeah, you got your four cable conductors and a 5th unshielded spiral ground wire. This is your actual shielding, this unshielded wire, because what they do is they take the 4 cables and they take this unshielded wire and wrap it all the way around them, going all the way down the length of cable. And then they take the whole thing and wrap it in foil, and the foil helps with higher frequencies. But this ungrounded wire is the one that's really doing all the work. And these ungrounded wires are the ones that you want to tie together all along, from the jack to the pickup and every point in between, because that is your shielding. As long as it's all connected together from one place to the next through, doesn't matter how many cables you have, as long as you connect all these guys together, the whole thing will be shielded, built into the wiring harness itself. So that's long and short on using shielded cabling. And yeah, watch out for the cheap stuff. So this one's the good stuff. It's got the silver wire and the foil and stuff. And this is an example of the cheap stuff. Just 4 conductors, no shielding. Buyer beware. So connecting the cover. When you go and put your cover on, you got your cavity all shielded and you've got shielding on your cover, but you want to connect the cover to the cavity shielding. And this is the method that I use. You take a piece of tape and you fold it almost all the way over, but not quite, so the end of it still has adhesive on it. And then you use it in order to make a little, like, spring connector, like that. So when you put the cover down, it'll press down against this, and this is shielding paint, which is connected to the shielding paint in the cavity. And this little tab thingy here will connect your cover. You put it on just like that. So then, how do you connect all this up? It's all fine and good to have, you know, a shielded control cavity and stuff, but it's got to be grounded for it to really do its job. Ungrounded control cavity is better than nothing, but a an ungrounded Faraday cage, which is what you're trying to build, is better than nothing, but a grounded one is what you really want. So the way I do mine, everything in here is shielded, so when I screw the jack in there, it connects to the paint and automatically, because the face of the jack is part of the ground clip and terminal, it automatically connects the ground prong on the jack and the ground terminal of the jack to the shielding paint. And then anything that's connected to the shielding paint is grounded. So that's the way I do mine. If you don't have shielding paint around your jack, then probably the best thing to do is to get a tuner screw and screw it in some place in the cavity, and then come from your negative bus wire or someplace at ground, like the jack or whatever, and take a wire from your negative bus or your ground and send it over to that little screw, and either like use the screw to screw the wire into the hole, or solder the wire onto the screw after you've screwed in the screw. Maybe solder it down below the head of the screw so that you can get the screw back out, unsolder the wire, and then get the screw back out. So yeah, or if you've got like 2 sections of your cavities, let's say I didn't put any shielding paint in between these 2 and they were not connected electrically, I could actually put another tab thing and shielding paint set up like over here at this edge, and then use the cover itself as the way to connect this cavity with this cavity. Just something to think about. Time for me to close this thing up. That's your tip for the day. See you all later. Well, I think that's going to do it for this video. So, until the next one, everybody, have a good one.